What's going on, guys? Nick Dark here. This is going to be a full chart breakdown on UJ. So we're just going to get right into it and start dissecting this chart. So off the bat, I always like to do top-down analysis, jump up to the monthly, kind of remove all these MAs, all these indicators, and then go to line charts. So what I want to do first is identify support and resistance. Let's go ahead and do that. I want to find areas that are the most significant based on my rules. Let's see which ones are looking pretty good. I like this one, 112. 112's looking good. Let's just go right to the candlestick chart, see if this makes sense. Yeah, overlap, overlap, touch, touch. Multiple touches over here as well, but not as clear as over here. So over here is definitely more clear than this. So let's keep going back. Let's go back to the line chart, identify some more levels. Nice overlap in here. I like this level the best. Looking like 101. Let's see if this makes sense. Back to the candlestick chart. Yeah, it makes sense. It's 10.5 better. Nope, 101's better. Yeah, I like 101 a little better. Okay, so now that we've done that, we want to go ahead and find the price range tool, kind of measure this, see where we're at. 101 flat. Let's just do this actually. 101, and this is 112, right? 111.12 rather. Okay, so we're about 1,100 pips. Good, not bad, not bad, not bad. All right, let's go ahead and mark some more support and resistance on the monthly here. So precision is everything, so I'm really making sure that this is exactly at the right level. So 123 is where we're at for the next one. Monthly. Okay, let's see if this makes sense. Back to the line chart. So it overlapped, touched here, overlapped a couple times, touched. Yeah, this level makes sense. Good. All right, so more recent price action. We'll get the support to the downside as our last level. Right at 90 even. Okay, so I like these psychological levels too, because again, price action is never going to stop right on the pip, or like it's very rare that it does, but it's not because the level's there. It's more so it's an area where there's a lot of orders where you can anticipate some sort of reaction from price action. So that's why I like these nice psychological levels. Yes, there are a lot of orders there as well, but again, it's more so just zones that we're looking at. Okay, so let's see how this is looking. Pretty good so far. It's actually a pretty sideways chart for the most part. Well, right here, this was super bearish. So I'm just going to try and use the trend line, see what we could see. Make this black. Okay, so this was definitely a descending channel here, right? Very, very bearish before this happened. Right, very bearish. Right, lower high, break of the lows, lower low, lower high. Then it finally broke out. Right, so this could be, it's a short-term bullish trend on the weekly or something. So let's go ahead. Actually, let's finish this real quick and mark out our weekly levels. I'm going to do this. Okay. So weekly levels, I'm going to half these zones. Oops. If it will let me. There we go. So looking to get the middle ground of these zones, right? So it's looking like 117.5. I like that the best. Call it a weekly. Does it make sense? Let's see. Line chart. Overlap, overlap, gap, touch, overlap, touch. Yeah, this all makes sense. Touch on both sides over here as well. More near recent price action. That's a good sign. Seems like we're right. It's a good level. Okay, let's keep doing this for the next level. So our weekly, we're looking at 106.5. Good, nice round number, nice psychological level. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Wait a minute. Did I just mark this? Right? Let's see. Yep, 106.5. Okay, and then finally the last level. To the downside. All right. 95.5. Cool. Looking good. Looking good. All right, let's just double check our work. Check on the line chart. They all look good. See how this respects very well each level, monthly, weekly, respecting. Very slow, respects the weekly again, monthly, weekly, hovers around this area, kind of overlaps a little bit, hits the weekly. So this is good. It's looking pretty damn good so far. All right, so now we can drop down to the weekly, try and identify any patterns, any zones we should be aware of, any channels like this one right here. Very, very steep bearish channel. Okay. Let's go ahead and highlight this. Bearish, good. A little bit of a fake out here. So this is looking pretty good. Nice bearish channel. Clearly lower high, right? But still nice head and shoulder pattern up here too. Look at that. All right, so we're bearish on the weekly here. Let's keep dropping down time frames. Get a little closer to price action. Okay. Looking pretty good so far. So this is Corona, this huge whipsaw here. So let's try and see this chart without the presence of this Corona crap, because this is just, hyperinflated. It's all speculation. So let's see, we're up here. This was a bit of a transition. Put these MAs back on. So clearly this was an ascending channel here, right? Very, very bullish, like this. And then this is actually the transition here. So like, look. So this channel was present right here. Right, so ascending channel, as you can see. Let's assume this wasn't here, right? So this was the break of this higher low over here. Here's the retest of this channel, and then it drops lower, which is good. Came back up for a double top. This is like a giant, like M pattern. It's looking like, but still, still primarily bearish. If we just zoom out, even, right? Very, very bearish. Definitely in favor of the bears. So let's see. Let's throw a fib on this. So from this lower high to this low, where I would draw it, and then I'm going to double check my work. I'm going to go to the weekly real quick. Okay, so this lower high here, yep, I'm going to draw it on a weekly fib instead. This is the conviction candle, lower high, and we're doing a bearish fib. So from the bearish wick, as close as possible, and then to the bearish wick over here. So we're going to do that one. Okay, so look at this, 61.8 rejection. Let's drop down. It's looking pretty good so far. All right, so this is that pullback. So we found some confluence in here. This was the level, rejection of the 50% MAs. Let's go ahead and draw a zone in here. So this is definitely this is the biggest zone, the most significant zone right now where current price action is. I'll make this a little slimmer, right? So I chose this area because, let's take a look at the line chart real quick. How many times price action's rejected? Either found resistance or support at this level, reacted in some way. There's also a lot of confluence here with the 61 fib level. So look, resistance, finally broke, came back, found support here, came back, found resistance back over here. So this is looking pretty good so far. Huge bearish engulfing. I like the MA pullback. All right, let's drop down to the 4 hour. I want to bring these fibs over actually first. 231, 105, 231, basically, right around here. Okay, cool. So let's drop to the 4 hour. Shit, I gotta bring these fibs in a little more so we can see them. 231. Shit. I gotta redraw them. Sometimes you gotta do that. Alright, drawing to the bearish fib here. It was a weekly fib rather, so let's go back up. Right there we go. 2, 3 area, right in there. Okay, cool. Back to the 4 hour we go. Oh my goodness. Sometimes it's just like that, guys. You gotta readjust them, so you could better see them on a lower time frame. All right, back to the 4. Much better, much better. Okay, so key level here. We want to get below this weekly. All right, what do we need to see to continue this bearish movement? Just gonna bring that in again. Expand this chart. Okay. All right, so what do we need to see to go bearish? This is a huge pullback to 61.8. We ideally would have liked to get on an entry in here somewhere, but this is so much volume, like it would have been a really skewed stop loss. So our next level is going to be here, right? We're starting to erase these, higher lows. So right down here, this was our low, this is our higher low, this is our higher low. This was a little box pattern in here. Let me highlight this for you guys. Little box pattern. Finally broke out. This was a breakout pattern. Only way to get in on that would have been a breakout. So we come back below this, which is a good sign. We actually get below this higher low. We got significant closure. Coming back for a retest. However, if we were to fib this little 4-hour, bearish fib, it's not hitting anything. It didn't come back to the 38.2, which would have been ideal. It would have been really nice to see that. But instead, this is just continuing lower. Let's go ahead and drop to the 1 hour, see if we can get a trade opportunity. Damn, this thing's really going sideways. This weekly level is looking big. All right, let's go back to the daily for a second. I want to get a zone on this weekly. Okay. There we go. Looking a little bit better. I think that's the best zone right here. All right, so we want to get below this level. This fake out didn't hold up clearly. Let's go to the 4 hour for a second. All right, so let's first identify why this wasn't the true break. All right, so it looked like it was. It had plenty of bearish confirmations. It pushed through, and then it just, it looked like it had the momentum, and then it came back through, pulled back to the MAs, gave a higher low. Smaller time frame head and shoulders. You could see that actually on the 1 hour probably. Then it continued higher. So that was a fake out. Very unfortunate. All right, so now this is currently filling the range. We can drop down to a 1 hour for a second. Kind of dissect this further. Let's bring this fib in again. Okay, cool. So again, remember this didn't form structure. 38.2's up here. We would have ideally liked to see this. I wanted to see a pullback through and then come back sharply through and give us some lower highs that we can enter on. Didn't happen. Instead, we got this little box pattern right here. Right, well, a little bit of a box pattern. Didn't give us a pullback, but now it's going back towards the bottom of this range. So, if you were to enter, it would have been on probably a breakout and quick. There's a little wick retesting the box pattern here. So like huge bearish engulfing. Price action tested the MAs and that box where it broke out of. That probably would have been your entry somewhere right in here. Again, stop loss would have been outside of it. And then you would have targeted towards the weekly. So it looks like we're getting towards the weekly. It's only 70 pips lower, it looks like. It's still not a 2-to-1. Your 2-to-1 would have to been very tight. 35 pip stop. All right, so it didn't form good structure. It doesn't have the greatest risk to reward where my stop loss is, because again, it's right where the 200 EMA is. So ideally, I'm going to wait on this one for a better trade option. Either one of two options now we're going to take a look at, okay? We want to see true structure form after a break of the weekly. So we want to see this. This is what we're looking for. Some sort of push lower, followed by a pullback, enter on a lower high, with plenty of confirming, setups, bearish setups. Let's go ahead and do this a little more. Okay, so rule of thumb, we want to target towards the negative 20%, negative 27. Let's pull this back out. Right about here, that's where we want to get to. Right, so this is the better trade. This is kind of forcing a trade in here. There's no structure. Ideally, one of our main rules, we want to see 38.2 hit or the 61.8 at the very least. So, it's just not happening here. So we want to see price action push lower, give us some sort of pullback in this area. So like, let's say I'm forming this lower. I'm going to fib this here. So like as we went over, didn't hit the 38.2, right? So we want to see it push lower and then back up. So it could go all the way. Wow, this thing needs to prove a lot. This thing needs to prove a lot. Wow. All right. So not a great opportunity on this quite yet. 38.2. So it hit the 61.8, which is good, not the 38.2. It's just continuing lower based on momentum. Yeah, so okay, so we're going to play it based on price action, looking at the weekly. So this is what we're going to need to see. Again, this break of the weekly, retest this resistance, confirm lower high, in which case the trade would look like this. Confirm lower high, you get in on a lower time frame engulfing. Remember, execution time frames are 1 hour 30 minute. Looking to get 300 pips out of this. So that means max or minimum your stop loss could be 150, right? 2 to 1 at least. You're protected even outside of this lower high. Great potential for that. Could definitely be a really great trade. Let's go ahead and zoom this over. So we're protected by a few levels here. Would be the MA is the 200 EMA, this smaller structure level, and this lower high, and the weekly, of course. So that would be good, but even so, you could bring it lower. It'd probably be about 100 pip stop. I'd probably choose this, especially after this lower high was formed. If my stop loss was at the top of this range, could even be a little bit less than that, but for the sake of risk reward and nice whole numbers, 100 pips at the top of the range. Looking to get 3.0 out of this. Really good trade setup. But yeah, in between this range is just too much support here at this weekly. Again, it didn't hit structure. Not the greatest risk reward, and obviously, it didn't give us the cleanest, setups coming out of this little pattern here to just enter on plain price action. So, a little too much going on here for my liking. I'd rather just wait on this major move to play out. But if this were to go to the upside, what do we need to see? A break of this level, and then a confirmed higher low. Then we can start looking at long opportunities. But considering the overall sentiment is very bearish, considering what we're seeing here, a huge pullback, rejection from this 61.8 handle up here, I'm definitely more bearish than anything else. But you always got to be ready for either scenario, and ask yourself questions like, what would need to happen for me to start thinking of long positions? And that's this exactly right here. I need to see a break higher, confirmed higher low above this level, and then we can start looking at longs. But let's go ahead and check our work. Jump to the higher time frames, see if this makes sense in terms of sentiment, overall sentiment. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. If we get below this weekly, we could definitely see a huge drop to the downside, potentially even lower than the negative 27. But again, we'll just monitor price action and confirmations if we get below this weekly. We already saw this monthly basically hit down here, so this is a good sign. Price action's been there before. As we say, news just kind of accelerates the trend. This was obviously news. Corona, and you can see how this hugely volatile event still played within this daily channel. See that? It literally hit the top of this channel in our monthly, came right down, almost hit our monthly, but it did hit the bottom of the channel, came right back, hit the top of the channel again. So guys, news pretty much just accelerates the trend, especially in this scenario. So yeah, this has been a full chart breakdown on USDJPY, and June 17th, this is our bias right now. Definitely looking short. Just waiting for the right confirmations to get below this weekly. All right, guys, so thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.